With Season 11 in full swing, Apex has had a lot of new players checking out all the new content the game has to offer. So today, we're going to talk about some must-know beginner tips and information to help you find success from the time you queue up for a game to heading back to the lobby as the champion squad. What's up guys, it's Valued, and today we've got a ton of invaluable info to get you rolling on Apex, so let's get right into it. The first thing we've got to talk about can happen before you even enter a game. Having deep game knowledge is one of the biggest factors in finding success in Apex, and there's no better way to do that than getting your hands on every legend and weapon in the game. With this in mind, be sure if you're a new player to visit the firing range and spend a good amount of time here learning how each weapon and legend operates. You can choose any legend you've unlocked to try out, getting a feel for their abilities and animations. While you likely won't be putting a ton of time in-game on every legend, understanding the abilities of each and how long their cooldowns or animations are will give you a deeper understanding of how to navigate fights against other players playing these legends. After you've tried all the legends out, we recommend sticking with one for a while, getting comfortable with them so that you can remove that one variable as you learn the rest of the game. If you're a brand new player, you'll start with a few characters that vary across different roles: offensive, defensive, support, and recon. Every single legend in the game is viable, so don't be worried about picking a weak legend. Just put the focus on what you liked when you tried them out in the firing range and go from there. If you want a recommendation from me, I'd recommend Bloodhound. Not only do they have easy to use scans that can really help you navigate a fight, but their ult makes fighting a lot easier with the extra vision and speed boost, and they can use survey beacons like every other recon legend. Being able to use these beacons will give you an added mechanic to look for in-game while still being one of the easier legends to find success on. Another easy way to find success is to head over to ProGuides.com and sign up for a session with one of the incredible coaches. There, you'll find some of the best Apex players in the world, ready to help you from any stage of your journey. Whether you just got the game this season or if you've been playing since Season 0, they're there ready to help you bring your skills to the next level. So if you feel like you're lost and not improving, make sure to check out ProGuides in the description below. So moving on to the weapons, while you're in the firing range, be sure to get your hands on every single gun. This is where a large amount of the skill gap in Apex really comes from, as the weapons are very unique and have quite a bit of a learning curve to them. Instead of going over every single weapon, let's touch on the ammo types to help you get a general idea of how each weapon is going to perform. Now, keep in mind, every gun will have different recoil patterns and some have unique features to them, but I'll try to mention these features where they apply. So let's go down the list. Light ammo weapons tend to have high fire rates with lower damage and more of a damage fall off. They're very accurate, but can have quite a bit of recoil depending on what weapon you're using. Most of the light weapons here in Season 11 are meant for close to mid-range fights, being able to zap targets for a ton of damage if you manage to land your shots. The R301 is the longest range weapon in this class, with it being an AR that can definitely fight some longer range battles. Heavy ammo weapons tend to have high damage, lower fire rates, and more bullet drop. They can be a lot harder to hit shots with at first than many of the light ammo weapons, but they have potential to deal way more damage at longer ranges. Guns like the Rampage and the Flatline absolutely pump damage, but they have some interesting recoil patterns and bullet drop that can make them harder to use for newer players. With bigger maps like Stormpoint and World's Edge, heavy weapons have a ton of payoff if you can get good at taking medium and long-range gunfights with this ammo type. So next up, energy ammo is a bit different than its counterparts. It has very little bullet drop and has some of the most unique weapons of any ammo type. Guns like the Havoc and Devotion have wind-up times to their triggers, causing a delay unless you have a turbocharger attached to them. These weapons can feel pretty underwhelming without this hop-up, but guns like the Volt, L-Star, and the newly returned Triple Take are all very versatile and powerful in the right hands. This ammo can be a bit harder to find than some other ammo types, but if you have just about any weapon in this class fully kitted with attachments, you have a powerful close range and long range option. So shotgun and sniper ammo is probably pretty self-explanatory. Shotties have pellet-based shots that accelerate at close ranges. The Peacekeeper has a choke feature that lets you charge it up while aiming down sights to get a more precise shot. But otherwise, these bad boys are meant to wreak havoc up close. And sniper ammo has really high damage, with these weapons having a slower fire rate. Most of these weapons have a decent bit of bullet drop aside from the charge rifle, which has a hit scan laser that can be great to use if you're not comfortable at long ranges. So guys, getting your hands on each of these weapons, identifying the characteristics of each ammo type, and starting to get a grasp for what each weapon can do will catapult your game forward. So with a lot of this info out of the way, let's walk through each stage of a game and talk about some practices for finding success. After choosing your legend and loading into the dropship, you want to instantly be looking for a good drop location. But what exactly is a good drop location? The key here is to avoid dropping into hot drop locations. This means you don't want to be dropping where everyone else is going, but rather find a location where you'll be alone or only contested by one other squad. This will make your early games much less stressful and give you a chance to find decent weapons before you have to fight for your life. These types of drops vary on each map, so I'm not going to go over specific locations, but the key here is to go to places you don't think other players are going to go based on the dropship's path. Avoid dropping anywhere that's directly under the ship, and try to find a POI that's maybe off to the side right when the dropship begins its path or at the end. Alternatively, you could find a spot that is mid dropship's path but requires a bit of distance to actually make it to this location. Now, these rules aren't going to work in every situation, as you'll come to find areas like Fragments on World's Edge or Command Center on Stormpoint are just fan favorites and are going to be very hot almost every single game. But use this mindset as you land at different locations and learn a map. Your goal when starting out is to learn the game, and while fighting a ton will help you learn to fight, it doesn't really help with anything else, especially if you're losing. It's much better to find some safe drops, get good loot, and be able to defend yourself comfortably while you learn the maps and get your bearings a little bit. So another thing, if you're brand new to a map, you won't know all the rotations, but a general rule you can use when deciding where to move on the map is to prioritize ring position. Basically, you want to make sure you're in the ring before the storm closes. There's a lot more depth to this, and we could make a whole video talking about it, but TLDR, just don't let yourself die in the storm or get caught by players while you're running from it. This is something a lot of new players struggle with, and it causes a lot of frustration when you get killed for free by an enemy because you're limping out of the storm at low health. While looting is really important, you're gonna get faster at it as time goes on, so don't overloot to the point where you're running for dear life with your back to the circle. Instead, focus on getting 2 decent weapons, 1 mid-range to long-range option, 1 short-range option, some heals, and get moving on the map. Moving like this actively will get you comfortable with the pacing of the game, and it will allow you to find some fights early on in your games, but on your own terms without worrying about the zone. All too often, newer players get caught up in the loot, and if you don't die to zone, you'll die to a squad rolling up on you while you aren't ready for them. By being proactive with your movement, you can be the ones catching other squads off guard with their backs to the zone. So, as you move into the final few circles, teams are going to start to slow down just a little bit. They'll look for power positions that are within the circle that they can hold and watch for enemy teams. And this is what you should try to do as well. And it's much easier to pull off when you're on the move early on like we just discussed. If you find yourself already in the circle with good weapons early on in a game, you can always stay put and let the action come to you. The key here is to have a good loadout, plenty of ammo and heals, and find a spot that isn't going to let a bunch of teams shoot or push you from different angles. Finding high ground near the edge of circle is always preferable, as this will let the zone itself protect you a bit from other teams. By having the zone at your back later in the game, you can basically guarantee a team won't push from that side, giving you a lot less area to watch for threats. So your goal as a new player should be to gather all the knowledge of the game's mechanics, weapons, maps, and popular playstyle, and then use that knowledge to become skillful at the game. Don't get frustrated if you're dying a lot or missing a ton of shots. At the end of the day, Apex is hard, and there's now a lot of years of player knowledge built up in those players in your lobbies. So focus on these fundamentals and you will catch and surpass these players in no time. Once you get the basics down, the whole world of Apex advanced movement, aiming, and strategy will open up to you. So be sure to check out all the other videos on this channel to help you continue your learning. If you're a newer player to the game, make sure to let me know down in the comment section below. I absolutely love Apex, and it's so great to see many fresh players coming in and enjoying themselves. I know that if you start to use what we talked about today, your enjoyment will only increase, because who doesn't love getting better and winning more games? Make sure to drop a like and hit that sub button if you enjoyed this video. Anyway guys, it's been your boy Valued, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.